All right. Revelation chapter 8. And when he opened the seventh seal, there was silence in heaven about the space of half an hour.
So it says when he opened up the seal, there was silence in heaven about a half hour. Now, you know, you think the seventh step is the most holy place.
Mm-hmm.
Now, you know, when the high priest is doing his officiating, when he had that vision of that Yahweh had forgiven the children of Israel's sin that day, I mean, for that year, that was a glorious thing to that high priest. You understand? Mm-hmm. And I don't think he was rushing to get back down there. You know what I'm saying? But it said that there was a silence in heaven. And see, Sabbath means rest. And Dr. Kinley said in the Vision Panoramic tablet that he learned, be still.
First
know
law.
that I'm Yahweh. That was my first lesson in universal knowledge, spirit knowledge, more or less. And so, and we'll read Habakkuk 2 and 20, I think.
Habakkuk 2 and 20. But Yahweh is in his holy temple.
It's in his holy temple.
Let all the earth keep silence before him.
Yeah. All the earth should be keeping silence before him because he's in his holy temple. In other words, he don't want no whole bunch of noise up there.
Does that have anything to do with Solomon's temple being a silent operation?
Well, yeah, that could be a good point too. Yeah. That's how he, those stones slid right in. It's the same way with the preaching of the gospel. That's why Dr. Kinley didn't like people running their mouth and making noise. Mm-hmm. Even with the children, he said, keep them quiet because there's things going on in here. Mm-hmm. It's a spiritual operation. And, you know, you got to be disturbing the spirit vibration. You understand? In other words, you gotta want to be concentrating. You know, it ain't no play thing. You know, but some people do like to play. We watch people pass notes and do all kinds of stupid stuff that is really disrespectful to the Holy Spirit. You understand? Holy Spirit's out there preaching the gospel, and then you got something more important. You know, just like somebody on their phone, texting or whatever. Nah, you need to put that stuff off. And concentrate and try to learn all you can possibly learn, try to understand all you can possibly understand.
Because you're going to need it.
Yeah. Yeah. And then you can see people slip up because they've been playing and whatever. They were coming to class for a different reason. I mean, if you'd have seen them guys, you'd seen that guy running this man. I mean, last year we heard that little fool, or big fool.
He hasn't gotten any better.
Yeah, 1 year difference.
Worse.
You know, it was just, I'm just going to follow that man all the way, no matter what. And even if I go to the lake. Well, you a fool then. You're stupid. You ought to sat down a long time ago. It was really, I mean, I don't know. It's kind of, it's too bad the dean hadn't showed up the last 2 times we've gone there. And he's supposed to be supposedly believing the right thing. And a lot of people left his class and went to Clear Lake. And I told him, yeah, you'll go clear to the lake if you want.
Yeah, you did say that.
Read on.
8 and 2, Revelation. And I saw 7 angels which stood before Yahweh, and to them were given 7 trumpets.
So it just talked about, he opened up the 7th seal, and there's silence in the space heaven, about a space of a half hour. Now, You know, and even when the brothers got the Holy Spirit on the day of Pentecost.
And Joshua was silent for 30 years too. Because he started his ministry at 30.
Oh, that's a good point.
Yeah.
And a half an hour is, I mean, an hour time, not prophetic time. It's 30 minutes.
Yeah, there you can work with. I've seen people work with that half an hour by taking certain things, like, you know, you can take years being 360 days. I don't know how you get to. Anyway, you can break it down and try to do a half hour from those kind of things. But
Yeah, but we know Joshua was silent though.
well, and after his death, burial, resurrection, when he poured out the Holy Spirit, I bet you those guys were. I mean, you know, I bet you that was like silence in heaven about a half hour, because I bet you they didn't know what they, you know. I mean, all of a sudden they didn't change and got spiritual minded.
And doesn't it say something
You know,
about
that
the woman?
probably shut you up for a little bit. Matter of fact, Dr. Kinley, when he had the vision revelation,
He
had the
did
vision
say-
revelation, he said, look, I didn't know what to do. I just went down, you know, all I know is he told me, he more or less showed him he can't do nothing till he gets some charts made. It shut him up, you understand? He was silent. He wasn't out there telling everybody, look what Yahweh just shook up, you understand? He wasn't saying that. It took him a little bit to get the charts made, and then he started.
And then doesn't it say something about the woman should keep silent in the church?
Yeah.
You know, so us being the bride,
What verse is that?
Yeah, I'm not sure. It's in Timothy, I think.
I'm just thinking about just silence and stuff.
Yeah.
All right, so
Yeah, well, that woman keeping silent.
it's us.
That's really what happened yesterday. Both of those got half hours too. Those women should have kept silent. In other words, you know, if you're not edifying the soul,
Yeah.
you know, you really wasn't saying nothing. You understand?
It was confusion.
I mean, they did say, you know, they tried it anyway.
So
To be in school for long and to hold office in the school and be that pitiful, it's not good.
so right here when he's talking about the 7 trumpets, that don't have nothing to do with Jericho?
Of course it does.
Okay. So it says,
Read.
and to them were given 7 trumpets.
Yeah.
And another angel
And they
came.
just opened the 7th seal.
Okay.
The 7th step of the pattern is the most holy place. So when they go over into Canaan's land, that's the most holy place as far as the migratory pattern.
And the 7th step.
Yeah.
Canaan land.
So, keep reading that.
It says, and another angel came and stood at the altar, having a golden censer.
Well, since they had the 7 trumpets, just go over to Joshua 6:1.
Joshua 6:1? That's 7.
6 verse 1.
Jo-
Yeah, I guess that would add up 7 there.
He's working with it.
And Jericho was straitly shut up because of the children of Israel. Shut up. Here we go again.
Yeah, there they are. They shut up. In other words, they ain't let nobody in Jericho that day.
Yeah.
And Jericho was straitly shut up because of the children of Israel. So that's the same thing like besiege, when you were telling me about besiege, how you're not letting anything come in or go out.
Yeah,
Okay.
but they did it self-imposed because, I mean, that's why people build forts and stuff. You don't want nobody coming in there messing with you. You understand? So that's what Jericho was a walled city.
Oh, okay.
Read.
Now Jericho was straitly shut up because of the children of Israel. None went out, none came in. And Yahweh said unto Joshua, the son of Nun, that is, see, I have given into thy hand Jericho, and the king thereof, and the mighty men of valor. And ye shall compass the city, and all ye men of war go round about the city once. Thus shalt thou do 6 days. And 7 priests shall bear before the ark 7 trumpets of ram's horns. And the 7th day ye shall compass the city 7 times, and the 7 priests shall blow with the trumpets.
So you see the high priest circling and sprinkling the blood 7 times, 3 times though. But here 7 times they went around on the 7th day. 7 times 7 is 49. Then they got priests with 7 trumpets. See, and if you look over here, Dr. Kinley got both these when Yahshua was sitting on the throne. You got 2 angels and both of them are blowing trumpets. See, and when they started the 7th month, you read it earlier. See, October had 3 feast days.
Right.
October 1st was the blowing of the trumpets. And in Numbers 10th chapter, they were supposed to take out, they made 2 trumpets of silver for the calling of the assemblies, to warn in battle and things like that.
Marching order.
Yeah. And by the pattern, the 3 metals are gold, silver, and brass. So silver would represent the holy place.
Place. Yeah.
Well, this is the 5th feast day. The holy place is the 5th step. And you had to do the blowing of the trumpets on the 1st day of the 7th month. So here is the 7th, and see, and when it comes down here, see the next age, might as well get that. Get 1 Thessalonians 4:16. And 1 Corinthians 15:50. Well, you might as well get Ezekiel, the 33rd chapter.
Okay. All right, let's start with Ezekiel since we're in the prophets.
Let's start at 4 there.
Ezekiel 33:4. Then whosoever heareth the sound of the trumpet, and take not warning, if the sword come and take him away, his blood shall be upon his own head.
Read.
He heard the sound of the trumpet and took not warning, his blood shall be upon him, but he that taketh warning shall deliver his soul.
So, when they see a watchman over the coast, and he see the sword come, and he blows the trumpet, if the people take warning, if they don't take warning, the blood's on their head. If he don't warn them, the blood's on his head. See, so, but it talks about blowing a trumpet. When Yahweh spoke down the law, which was June 6th,
Right.
it said his voice was as a trumpet, exceedingly loud.
Right.
Even when John was back here, he turned to hear the voice, and it was sounded as the voice of a trumpet. In Revelation, the 1st chapter. Then in Matthew 24:30 and 31.
You want it? Matthew 24:30 and 31. And then shall appear the sign of the Son of Man in heaven. And then shall all of the tribes of the earth mourn, and they shall see the Son of Man coming in the clouds of heaven with power and great glory.
So he's coming in the clouds of heaven. Remember that again, it's talking about him pouring out the Holy Spirit. And Yahweh said in Leviticus 16:2 that he will dwell between the wings of the cherubim. He will dwell in the cloud between the wings of the cherubim upon the mercy seat. And then we know that our brains are gray and white matter like unto a cloud. So when it says Son of Man coming with the clouds, with great glory, it's talking about him pouring out the Holy Spirit. Now read the next part.
And he shall send his angels with a great sound of a trumpet.
Yeah.
And they shall gather together his elect from the four winds, and one end of heaven to the other.
Yeah. So here's death, burial, resurrection, ascension. Pours out the Holy Spirit. You see him blowing the trumpets. You understand? Which is really the preaching of the gospel.
Yeah.
And the muscle in your mouth is buccinator, which means trumpet. See? So when he pours out the Holy Spirit, which is the most holy place of the age, he puts it in the heart and mind of mankind, they blow the trumpet. And it begins the fifth dispensation, which the fifth feast day was the Feast of Trumpet, blowing his trumpet. And then when you come, we got 1 Thessalonians 4:16 and 1 Corinthians 15:50.
All right. Okay. 1 Thessalonians 4:15?
60.
Yeah.
4:16?
Even 4:14 down is okay.
All right. So I'll start from 14 going down to 16. For if we believe that Yahshua died and rose again, even so them also which sleep in Yahshua will Yahweh bring with him.
Yeah, they're part of the body. Read.
For this we say unto you by the word of Yahweh, that we which are alive and remain until the coming of Yahweh or Yahshua shall not prevent them which are asleep.
Yeah, how are we going to prevent the people that are asleep? Like we got the power to hold back the souls?
No.
You understand? But anyway, go ahead.
Right. For Yahweh himself shall descend from heaven with a shout, with the sound, with the voice of the archangel, and with the trump of Yahweh.
Now see, he died, buried, resurrected, ascended, and sit on the right hand of the Father. In other words, he's sitting on the throne. He's king. But it says he's going to descend from heaven with a shout. You read that in Jericho. Go back to Jericho.
All right. It says, and Yahshua commanded the people, saying, you shall not shout, nor make any noise with your voice, neither shall any word proceed out of your mouth until the day I bid you shout.
Well, then right there is like a silence in heaven.
Oh, yeah?
They don't want to make no noise when they go over there.
Then shall ye shout.
Yeah, so when they circled the city, they ain't say nothing. But when they did shout, read.
All right, so that was him giving an instruction. I'm coming down to when they actually did it.
Okay.
Keep yourselves. Okay. So the people shouted, and the priests blew with the trumpets. And it came to pass, when the people heard the sound of the trumpet, the people shouted with a great shout, and the wall fell down flat. So that the people went up into the city, every man straight before him, and they took the city. And they utterly destroyed all that was in the city, both man and woman, young and old. That mean kids too. And ox, sheep, and ass with the edge of the sword.
Yeah, they done killed everybody up there.
But Yahshua had said unto the two men that had spied out the country, go into the harlot's house and bring out thence the woman and all that she has, and as she swear.
Yeah, she hid the spies.
Could you go into that a little bit? I was thinking about, is that just showing like his salvation?
Well, the thing is that when they went over to spy the land, she took them in and hid them and saved them.
She saved them, yeah.
And then say, hey, you're going to have to look on me when you all come up in here. They said, well, you just put down a red cloth or something to show where you are. And then, yeah, and so it was really a pact to say, you helped us out. And she was a harlot, but she wasn't a harlot no more. You understand? In other words, she became, matter of fact, she's one of the she's one of the generations that Joshua come through.
Rahab?
Yeah.
Does she have any correlation with Mary Magdalene, the lady who was a harlot
Well,
and Joshua saved?
I mean, if it's possible, she quit being one too.
That's what I was
You
thinking.
know what I'm saying? I mean, that's the whole thing. Is that the Holy Spirit has power to change you. See?
And all of us quit being one too.
Yeah, right. We was born around false doctrine. Yeah.
That is true.
That's right. All
is
has
true.
been wrong and messed up.
Yeah.
See?
All right, yeah. So they so we finished in
So you
Joshua.
see it was the blowing of the trumpet
Yeah.
and the shout.
And shout, right?
And then the wall come down. Well, here, Joshua's descending from heaven, says with a shout and with the voice of an archangel. Well, then you got archangels there in the most holy place. So you're seeing, if you don't have a pattern, all you're doing is reading the Bible. You aren't seeing where he is and how he's descending the pattern. In other words, he's in the most holy place coming out. You understand? Okay, read the next, keep reading in First Thessalonians.
Oh, quick note too, Valerie. See how the Jehovah Witnesses were wrong? Because Gabriel's an archangel too.
That's right.
It's not just Michael. So they were trying to say Michael is the archangel,
Well, they wrong anyway.
and that Joshua is.
They ain't shaking us up.
All right, where we
Right,
at?
I've known that for over
right,
40
like
years.
what Dr. Kennedy said. He said, they don't believe in visions. He said, well, you can't be a witness of Yahweh.
All right, and over here in
And
Thessalonians.
plus, Acts 1 and 8, he told his disciples, you be witnesses of me.
That's right.
So it ain't Jehovah. It ain't Jesus. You understand? Joshua. So they don't even know who they're supposed to be witnessing to. They just read over there.
In Psalm,
your witness
Isaiah.
is a strong tower, and then we are your witnesses. You know.
All
He's
right,
talking
so
to Israelites in Isaiah. He's
so
talking about Jehovah Witnesses.
yeah, obviously. So over here in Thessalonians, when he says that he shall
16.
descend,
Yeah.
okay, for Yahshua himself shall descend from heaven. So this hasn't happened yet. This will happen.
Read it.
All right. For Yahshua himself shall descend from heaven with a shout, with the voice of an archangel, and with the trump of
Okay, watch this.
Yahweh.
Hold on now. This answers your question. See, Joshua's already died, buried, resurrected, ascended, and poured out the Holy Spirit. Paul's writing this to the Thessalonians
Right.
in this age.
Right.
So what does he say?
For Yahweh himself, Yahshua himself shall.
Shall, not all how already has done it.
Right.
Right.
Shall descend from heaven. Read.
Okay. Shall descend from heaven with a shout, with the voice of the
Archangel
and with the trump
with the trump
of Yahweh,
of Yahweh.
and the dead in Yahshua shall rise first.
Yeah, now if you look at,
Now that part already happened, right?
huh?
That part already happened, right? And the dead shall rise first.
Well, read, Hebrews 11:39, that they without us
Right.
shall not be made perfect. But by the pattern, if you're coming down, the first thing you get to is the altar of incense. And we just read where the open up the fifth seal. And we saw the souls under the altar saying, how long, O holy true, you fellow brothers, And there's been a lot of people who took off the flesh since then. You understand? Even from Paul's time, all them guys have taken off the flesh. They're dead as far as the flesh is concerned, but they're not in the spirit. So he said, and the dead shall rise first. Read.
Then we,
We.
which are alive. Yeah, this hadn't happened yet.
Which are alive
Yeah, then we which are alive and remain.
and
Oh,
remain.
you gotta remain though.
That's it. Yeah, endure to the end.
Oh man, which are alive and remain shall be caught up together with them in the clouds.
In the clouds,
Or
or
in
in
the
the spirit, right.
Mhm. To meet Yahweh in the air.
They meet him in the air, and that's in the spirit,
Huh.
not in the physical air. But that's all people can look at is carnal if you don't have the Holy Spirit and a divine vision revelation to see it. Read.
And so shall we ever be with Yahshua.
Yeah. Read.
Wherefore comfort one another with these words.
And this is what Dr. Kinley said. He said that's why there was a second Thessalonians,
Right.
because they're over there saying we're going to meet him in the air. Like Dr. Gill goes, now you got them tall building down there in Austin. If you at the highest floor up there, and Jesus says, "Come here." Are you gonna meet him in the air? They're gonna read about you in the paper. You understand? Man fell. You understand?
Meeting Jesus in the air.
Yeah.
Saying he was going to meet
He said, I was trying to meet Jesus. He said, meet me in the air. You understand? So these people, anybody they ever see fall from the air don't hold you. How does that happen? They're shook up. Everyone, what's he talking about? Comfort you with these words. Caught up in the clouds. Clouds can't hold nobody. The fog, you understand? And meeting you in the air. So they're shook up, and Dr. Kinley said that's why he had 2 Thessalonians read. And that's why 2 Thessalonians 2 says, don't let somebody trouble you through spirit or letter. It's the day of Yahweh, because that did trouble them up. But 2 Thessalonians 1 and 7, he says, to you who are troubled, rest with us when Yahshua's eyes revealed from heaven with his mighty angels in flaming fire, taking vengeance on them that know
He's talking about
Yahweh,
the same thing.
and obey not the gospel of our Savior Yahshua Messiah. What?
I said, so he's talking about the same thing he was talking
He's
about.
talking about the finish of it. Because here he's glorifying those that are in the holy place.
Oh.
Those are the ones that are in the body of Yahshua that they're going to get immortal glorified bodies. Then these people are going to see him, and that's what's going to torment them. That's what's going to make them in the lake. That's what's going to. They're going to desire to have those bodies and can't have them. He's going to bring them back to remembrance. Why?
Yeah.
Told you to go to class. Told you to believe the gospel, Yahshua. Told you to. You understand? But they thought something else more important. Usually people, well, I gotta wait till I retire. I gotta wait till I. You understand? They got every other reason why.
I'm sticking with Kinley and Harris.
Yeah.
I'm what?
Yeah.
Harris.
Whatever Harris says, I'm following to the end.
Don't read the
If I
Bible.
go to the lake, yeah, don't worry, yeah. Lay down the Bible.
Just look up at me.
Yeah.
So did somebody say that if if Harris going to the lake, they going with him? Did you say one of them said that,
through
Dominic?
the years, people have said that.
And the song was just, or no, the guy said, he said, he said, if I'm gonna stick with Harris until the end, and if I'm going to the lake,
So that's what.
so be it.
Yeah, that song was going on so long, man, and it was sickening. And they got a new person there. I don't know how that fool even tried to put it. They didn't even have a choir. They was singing. That guy could have picked any song. And he picked that stupid song to sing. And usually I'll go right off, but I did go later on it.
Well,
And
that,
say that was terrible. That song. I
well, the
said,
third speaker was the one that said that he's gonna stick with Harrison.
yeah, he
And
did.
then
But when I jumped on the song, I
Yeah.
can't remember how I said that, but I said that he definitely ain't got the Holy Spirit, something like that. Or that's false. Doc, it was just
Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah, might have been that false acting.
Yeah, I can't remember. Sometimes you just don't know, but I know I was going to have to address it because it was just pitiful. It just didn't make any sense.
It was horrible.
Yeah.
All right. Revelation 8 and 3. And another angel came and stood at the altar, having a golden. Oh, did we already read this one? And another angel came and stood at the altar, having golden censer, and there was given unto him much incense.
Oh, no, we ain't finished 1 Corinthians 15:50.
Okay, 1 Corinthians.
1550.
1 Corinthians. You said what? Oh, 4 and Oh,
15.
1 Corinthians what?
15:50. 15. 1 Corinthians chapter 15, verse 50.
I'll make this one. I'm like,
There was silence in his heaven for a space.
I think we've all
A few
experienced
seconds.
that.
Yeah, we all.
now this I say, brethren, that flesh and blood cannot inherit the kingdom of Elohim.
Yeah, flesh and blood can't inherit the kingdom. Read.
Neither does corruption inherit incorruption.
Yeah.
Behold, I show you a mystery. We shall not all sleep, but we shall all be changed. In a moment, in a twinkling of an eye, at the last trump.
At the last
Whoa.
trump, see.
That's why there are multiple trump. That's when you see
it began, the fifth dispensation began blowing the trumpets.
Oh.
But there's going to be a last trump, but it is going to usher in the fifth age, universal revelation.
Yeah.
At the last trump.
Hmm.
And then you got some idiot called Trump. See, we're down at the end.
And you know,
Now, he ain't the Trump, of course.
but he'll be the last Trump.
Yeah, but there are people are so stupid, though. It's just amazing. We don't know how long that Trump going to be Trump, but
He's still gonna be the last Trump
he's
though.
the last Trump, though.
I hope so.
Oh man.
And there's even a congressman from Ohio, close to Springfield, and he's called Congressman Jordan. You always got a Jordan at the end, Trump.
Oh,
You understand?
Right.
You always got people's names, and you got a lot of stuff going on.
yeah.
Wow. And the trumpet shall sound, and the dead shall rise incorruptible, and we shall be changed. For this corruptible must put on incorruption, and this mortal must put on immortality. So when this corruptible shall have put on incorruption, and this mortal shall have put on immortality, then shall be brought to pass the saying that is written, death is swallowed up in victory. O death, where is thy sting? O grave, where is thy victory? The sting
Yeah.
of death is sin, and the strength of sin is the law.
Yeah, and that's what's coming up. See, he translated us into the kingdom. That's the present kingdom age. You understand? But you have a physical body. What's going to happen is the change of the body from a physical to the spirit body. And then this seventh dispensation is the kingdom of immortality, where you have an immortal glorified body. And it happens in the fifth age and the seventh dispensation, which, you know, 7 is the perfection of the most holy place. 7:5, which Abraham was given a promise when he was 75. This was 75 feet wide, Noah's ark. The tabernacle 75 feet wide.
Okay.
You know, Dr. Kinley was 75 when he gave up the Institute at the end. And then the promise is going to be fulfilled in the seventh dispensation, which is the fifth age, 7:5.
7:5.
And our phone number, 7575.
And the 7-branch lampstand
Was in the most
is
holy
in the
place.
holy place. The holy place is
Fifth
fifth
step.
step, so that's a 7:5. And he's standing in the midst of the 7-branch lamp, and he is perfection.
Yeah.
And he's- yeah. Okay, let's go back. And when Jericho, I just looked it up, because somebody told me it meant, maybe it's, what was that town? What was that town? Fort Myers. Somewhere, I think that meant, somewhere I'd heard it means city of palms. But what Jericho means is fragrant place. And the next thing he's going to talk about is the altar of incense, where the incense was fragrance.
That is next. All right, it says, I'll start again from 3, Revelations 8 and 3. And another angel came and stood at the altar having a golden censer. And there was given unto him much incense, that he should offer it with the prayers of all the sons upon the golden altar which was before the throne.
And you know, of course, Joshua is the intercessor. That's in, you've got 1 Timothy 2 and 5, there's one Yahweh. And one mediator between Yahweh and man, the man, Yahshua Messiah. Then you've got Hebrews 7:25 said, talks about him, he come to the utmost, he's able to save them to the utmost that come unto him, seeing he ever liveth to make an intercession for the sons, I think it says. Then you got Romans 8:25, the Spirit helpeth our infirmities. And we know not what to pray for as we ought, but the Spirit maketh intercession for us with groanings that can't be uttered. That's the Holy Spirit, which is Joshua the Messiah. So when this angel's offered up incense on the altar of incense, and he's got much incense, and it also says in 1 Thessalonians 5 and 17, pray without ceasing. Dr. Kinney said, hey, don't pray without ceasing. He says, Joshua Messiah is making intercession for us without ceasing. and
that breathing.
Without ceasing.
Yep.
So it's a physical manifestation of what the Spirit does for you.
No, that's not what they, in the church, they teach you got to be a prayer warrior.
Yeah.
You got to pray for hours and hours and hours.
Yeah, and that was the whole point, is they got you praying for them or praying for somebody, so you're looking to somebody else to pray for you instead of the intercessor, which is Joshua Messiah.
That's right.
That's like when they pray to Mary, or have the priest pray for them. Dr. Kennedy, he always jumped on that when they'd say, they might be nice prayers written down, but that ain't how it's done.
Always say that.
You know.
He used to talk about the books, the prayer books.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Go ahead.
All right. Verse 4, Revelations 8 and 4. And the smoke of the incense, which came with the prayers of the sons, ascended before Yahweh out of the angel's hand. And the angel took the censer and filled it with fire of the altar and cast it into the earth. And there were voices and thunderings and lightnings and earthquake. And the seven angels which had the 7 trumpets prepared themselves to sound. The first angel sounded, and there followed hail and fire mingled with blood.
And a lot of these, when the trumpet, that's really the same thing when you go back to Egypt, what happened. That was one of the plagues. See, that's Yahweh sending, he's coming down and he's plaguing those, that have his people in bondage spiritually. You understand? So he has fire come down. So, because remember, when we first started, well, that's a long time, it was a whole year ago. He said, write those things which was.